Good morning. Boogie with the Bull. Red Friday morning caffeine. Dave Glovin, Bill Muckler with you. And Bill will do our salute to Red Friday, and then it's going to be a brief 1 hour commentary on the election, and then Mr. Muckler is going to go enjoy being 89 years old and living in Florida.
Good morning, Dave. Good morning, everybody. It's so good to be with you. Hey, it's great to be able to wake up and be on the show. That's an accomplishment of its own when you're going on 90, I guess. Although I don't obsess over that.
Nope.
Yeah, it's Red Friday. I want everybody to remember all of our young men and women in our armed forces who are serving our country gallantly and honorably. Remember them, think about them, pray for them when you go to church this weekend, say a prayer. I know at my church, they always mention a special prayer for the our young men and women. So that's important. I would like to be able to say something good about all this, but there hasn't really been much news at all with the election news going on. And other than Trump driving a trash truck, we don't have any news about what's going on in the Mideast and the Ukraine and China and all that. I'm sure in a week or two we'll be inundated with news about that. I just hope that none of our young men and women in the armed forces get injured or God forbid, killed in action while serving over there, because there's a lot of bad people in this world, and they have very little, how can I say it? They have very little regard for human life. I mean, they think nothing of, strapping on a suicide vest. And they're really murder vests, because they go out and murder people. And boy, if you followed any of this going back, 20, 30, 40 years, they used to blow up a pizza shop, it seemed like, every week. And in Jerusalem or Tel Aviv or wherever in the heck they were. So, none of this is new. It's just more of the same, more of evil people doing evil things. Hey, let's talk about the election. I voted a week ago Thursday, the first day of voting in Florida, and I voted on the president and vice president, senator, our representative, and other what they call down ballot personnel, candidates. And then we had 6 amendments, and I voted on the 6 amendments. I do a lot of studying on this. I read up on these. I studied these amendments, and there's a couple of them I could go either way on them, and I probably voted the wrong way on 1 or 2 of them that I'm really not sure. So, it's tough. If you're going to be an educated voter, it's really tough. And that's what I want to talk about. I don't think the voting population is really all that informed and educated on what's going on. Now, I know these aren't really items that you can really hang your hat on, so to say. But I see they'll have the man on the street, and they'll ask some people, who are you going to vote for? Kamala Harris. Tell me something that she did. Tell me something good she did. Well, they can't come up with an answer. They can't come up with an answer on anything that she's done. It's sad. So Anyway, I listened to their speeches, and pardon me. She doesn't tell us anything, but then Trump is really not giving us a whole lot of detail either. The thing about what Trump has got going for him is 4 years ago, or in the past administration, the 45th administration, he accomplished a lot. So we know exactly what he did. In this 46th administration, by the Biden-Harris administration, we know exactly what they did. So that's a comparison between the two. What really disturbs me is that people will actually vote not based on what is best for America, but the fact that they just hate Trump. Now, I've asked people who I know, why do who you vote for? And they said, definitely not Trump. I said, why not? Because Trump treats women terribly. I said, well, give me an example. Well, they can't. Well, give me another example of something that Trump has done. Well, he's ruined Facebook. I said, Trump's never been on Facebook. Yes, he has. I said, no, Trump was just was taken off of Twitter. Oh yeah, well, it's Twitter. I said,
He was
well, then
on Facebook as
you really
president.
don't.
He was on Facebook as president. They took his account away because they didn't like him, and then they ultimately allowed him to come back because they felt bad that they had kicked off the president of the United States.
Yeah, but the point that I'm making is, and you're absolutely right, and I'm glad you brought that up because we don't want to mislead anybody, Dave.
Right.
Is the point that they're trying to make to me is that he was sending out all these tweets on Facebook.
Right.
So obviously the tweets went out on Twitter, and so they didn't know anything about them. They can't give me one example of one tweet that's a hateful tweet. It's just that, well, he did it because they heard somebody say that.
Yeah.
And that's the point I'm trying to make is they have no idea what they're talking about. So they hate Trump so much. So they say, well, Trump is a fascist. Well, tell me, can you define fascism for me?
Yeah.
What is fascism? I don't know. Is their answer? They don't know. So, the whole thing, what it boils down to is we've got one political party. And I'm trying to say this, Dave, from a point of view that I want what's best for America.
Right.
And we've got the Republican Party, which I think is really going to be good for America from a point of view of the economy and lowering inflation and giving people an opportunity to achieve the American dream, as opposed to the Democrat Party, who hates Trump. And so when they go to the polls and they go to vote, here's what they're going to vote. Who is Kamala Harris? Well, she's a woman of color. I'm voting for Kamala Harris because she's a woman of color. Well, is that the only reason you're voting for her? Well, I hate Trump. Why do you hate Trump? I just hate Trump. That's what they're voting for because they don't have anything else. So it's sad.
Trump. And there are that are in our side that are doing the same thing. They're voting for Harris, but they're just doing what they're told. Because they're told they got to hate Trump. To me, it's really ridiculous. You got to vote for yourself. You got to vote for something that you have, and you have to accept whatever comes out of your vote. I don't see how anyone can vote for Harris just because She hasn't done anything that even makes me think she's qualified to be president. Uh, she could have used the 25th Amendment on Joe Biden if he really was having dementia and dementia issues, and maybe that would have been a better move to happen under the Biden administration, but it happened under her, and she's
Yeah.
going to continue that way. I'm not distance herself from Joe Biden, who she was the vice president for. And I don't know. I mean, it's just a messed up election.
Yeah. So there's some things about the elections that concern me that I never hear anybody talking about. And hey, I study this stuff. I research it. I think about it. I try and learn as much as I can and be as knowledgeable as I possibly can. I'm gonna talk about some things. If a person was born in 1980, they would be 44 years old today. The biggest part of our voting population probably are people who have been born from 1980 on, or they were maybe youngsters from the 70s who remember the 1980 election. And that was the election where Ronald Reagan ran against the incumbent president, Jimmy Carter. There's really some comparisons here because this would be the same. This would be similar to Trump running against Joe Biden, except they pulled the plug on Biden and took him out, and they put in somebody to be president who they were trying to kick off the ticket in the first place. They wanted to dump Kamala Harris. If you go back to April, May, and June, she had an approval rating that was worse than Biden's approval rating, like in the low 30s. And they were trying to figure out how can they dump her and who can they get on as a new vice presidential candidate to run with Biden. That was what it was all about. And all of a sudden, Biden has this June 27th debate with Trump where he comes out there and he's, obviously mentally impaired, can't think, pretty much tells us how he's been, governing our country for the last 3 or 4 years. And so then they have to come up with somebody new. Well, now they've got a convention coming up in August, and now it's the end of June. It's the 1st of July, and they got to come up with somebody. And what are they going to do? So the Democrat Party is trying to sort all this out. Should they have another primary? Should they just do it in the convention? Select the president. They came up with Kamala Harris, who was the one they were trying to dump, the one they wanted to get rid of. And now, Dave, it's so surprising to me that somebody who never got a vote, never really accomplished anything or did anything to campaign or run for an office. Yep. All of a sudden, she's the presidential candidate for the Democrat Party, and she's getting half the votes, and Trump's getting half the votes. And how is she getting half the votes? She's a woman of color. She hates Trump, and she is all for anybody who wants to have unprotected, irresponsible sex and doesn't want to deal with the consequences of having a child. Yeah. And half the people in this country are voting for that. And that is really, and I'm thinking, this is, if I go back to 1980 and I'm thinking everybody in this country that's 44 years old and younger, this is what they've got in store for them. This is what they got in front of them is voting for. And I'm I'm just so fearful that somehow she's going to end up winning this thing. And I really fear for what's going to happen in our country for the next 4 years, because I don't think we can withstand another 4 years of incompetence and corruption. So let me give a little history lesson. It's what
Okay.
Is that right? We've been talking for 16 minutes. Wow, I feel like I've been on for a couple of hours. Okay, this won't be long.
No,
Going back to 1980.
Okay.
Reagan runs against Jimmy Carter and he wins. And the total number of people who voted were 86 million people, which was about 52, 53%. Let's just round it off. 53% of the people who were of voting age actually voted. 86 million. And obviously Reagan won. In the next election in 1984, and 92 million people voted. So that was 6 million more people. And that was about 53% of the population. So apparently the population grew, or maybe the population didn't grow, but the number of people of voting age increased because, as people get a little bit older, they become a voting age. So anyway, think of what I'm telling you now. 86 million and 92 million, 53% of the people have voted. Then we go to 1988 when George Bush 41 ran against Dukakis, I guess. Dukakis. We had 91,000 people voted. So 91 million people voted. So about 1 million less people voted in that election than the previous one. And it was only 50% of the people. So half the people are voting. Now, if you go to 92, Clinton's first year, 104 million people voted. How did that happen? That ended up 55%. Then in 96, Clinton's next term, 96 million people voted, and that was 49% of the population. Well, what happened in 92 was when Ross Perot ran, so we had a third-party candidate, and he got a bunch of votes, but he took a bunch of votes away from Bush, and that's how the Clintons got in. The Clintons never would have gotten in on a straight ballot vote. They got in because Ross Perot ran, and Ross Perot was a very conservative guy who was looking for fiscal responsibility, and he took away about 20% of the votes, and he took most of them away from Bush, so Bush was not reelected. And this kind of ushered in this whole how would you say it? This whole corruption and incompetence, governmental corruption and incompetence. So anyway, then you go to 96. We had only, I think I told you that already, 96 people voted, which was 49%. In the year 2000, when Bush 43 ran against Gore, who was the incumbent vice president, 50% of the people voted. About 105 million people voted. Okay. Bill, what in the hell are you trying to tell us here? Why are you telling us all this information? None of us will be able to remember any of it. What I'm trying to tell you is the number of people voting was somewhere around 90 to 100 million people, and it was somewhere around 50 to 55% of the people were
Okay.
voting. In
Yeah.
the year 2020, we had 158 million people voted, which was 63%. So where did these additional 55 million people come from? Well, I don't think they were 55 million people. I think they were an additional 55 million ballots.
Yeah. You're right.
Um,
You're right.
I may, I'm just going to tell you from memory. I'm not reading this anyplace.
Well, that's
But I
fine.
believe that Biden got around 81 million and Trump got around 55 million. I mean, 75 million.
Right.
75 and 81, that's about 156 million. So 50 million more ballots were cast over a short period of time. And we jumped from 50% up to 63% of the
No.
people
No.
voting.
No.
That doesn't make any sense.
There was
And the
something
thing of it
wrong.
was, the country was in complete lockdown in 2020 because of this China virus crap that we were going through. And so what they were doing is they were printing ballots. These weren't ballots that are printed by the states or the counties. These were ballots that were printed by the political parties, which was the Democrat Party, bundled them up. They already had pre-printed on there. Biden's name was the only name you could vote for. And you took all these and you put them in these collection boxes. And then there's stories about how drivers pulled up in the middle of the night because if you remember, everything was going kind of according to normal until about 2 o'clock in the morning, and Trump
Yeah.
was leading. And all of a sudden, the swing states, 6 of the swing states, shut down, quit counting ballots for 2 hours. And then all of a sudden, we see videos of people pulling in roller bags, like I would go on the airplane with roller bags that are full of ballots. Where did they come from? Where
Not
did they come from?
not any ballot box. Not
So
any legal ballot box.
when people say, "Well, you can't say they stole the election," and the judges all said, you can't do this. Well, nothing was ever adjudicated in court. The judicial system, the judges just said, "We're not going to hear this because you don't have standing." So they just threw the cases out, never heard them. But anyway, I don't know why people don't understand history and don't remember, because I remember, like when Bush ran against Gore, I remember there's only around 100 million people voted, and now there's 150 million people voting. I mean, you don't have to remember the exact numbers, just round it off a little bit.
Right.
But in your head, where did these 50 million ballots come from? All of a sudden, people decided that they were going to get patriotic and fulfill their civic duty and go ahead and vote. I don't believe that at all, because I think during the China virus thing, people were people were hiding away. They were scared to go out because they're either going to die or they're going to get arrested. So where did those 50 million ballots come from? Nobody knows. Nobody's asking. Nobody's trying to figure it out.
Not registered voters. Probably a lot of dead voters that still were on the election rolls, the voter rolls. Yeah.
Yeah, so you say, well, there's no voter fraud, but in Philadelphia, there were precincts where 120% of the people voted, and every vote was cast for the Democrat. Well, that's statistically impossible,
Right.
because how can you have 20% more votes than you have registered voters, and how can every single one of them vote one party? So there's some questions that need to be asked here. It's just unbelievable. Why am I talking about this, Dave? I'm talking about this because the Democrat Party has put on the ballot a woman of color, and the only way they're going to get her elected and maintain their power so the machine can continue to rule and govern America, is by cheating. And so they got to have the mail-in ballots, bundled ballots in these collection boxes. I don't like that. I think people need to just vote. So anyway, I heard one analysis on news this morning talking about a lawyer legally looking at various states, said the voting laws in each state are so complicated, so complex. Can't believe it. And I'm thinking, what's complicated about this? You're a United States citizen. You say, I want to vote. So you get on the list of people who are eligible to vote, and you go in, you show your ID card, and you vote, and you put your ballot in the box when you go out, and they give you a sticker that you can put on.
Yep.
I didn't wear my sticker. I kept it so I could show people, because otherwise it had been on a shirt that was already in the laundry.
Yep.
What's so difficult about that? Why does it have to be that hard? Well, why do we have an 80,000 page tax code? It doesn't need to be that difficult. It doesn't need to be that hard.
We don't.
Somebody, namely the United States government, is trying to pull something over on us, Dave.
Yep.
I think that's where you and I first started talking about is we kind of were, I guess, thinking pretty much along the same lines.
Yep. I still think would probably be shut down. The Department of Education, I think I agree with you that it should be returned to the states. Other people that I talk to about it think it should be returned lower down to the counties and the cities. And I don't know if the state is involved in it at all, but you tell me. I mean, I don't think you can exclude the state and just say the cities and counties are gonna run it. Can you? I mean, can a county decide that they're going to run the Department of Education in their county, and the state's not going to have anything to do with it?
I think that's pretty much the way it works now, except that the federal government has stepped in, and they're pretty much running everything. In my 2020 book, my solution was that the government, this would be the states, which would, without getting into too much detail, give vouchers to every eligible student to go to class. In other words, every citizen student to go to class. Because if you remember, I'm also saying that all the invaders are gone. They're goodbye. You're in a caravan that's going south through Mexico. So what we do is we give vouchers to everyone for every student. Now, the student hasn't really got the money. It's money that can be given to from the student's account into the school that they choose. So there won't be any more public schools anymore. Every school will be private or homeschooling. What we have now ain't
Right.
working. So why does anybody want to keep it and defend it? It makes no sense to me. They have, going back to 1979 when Carter signed into law and created the Department of Education. Our students were testing out #1 in the world in science and math and reading, all these categories. And now we're in the 30s and 40s, and we have this over bloated Department of Education that's running everything. And I'm saying it ain't working. What are we doing this for? Let the students have their voucher. Then what will happen is the schools will have to compete for the students to get that money. And there'll be a lot of them. They'll be wanting to do this because it'll be a big business for them. And so I'm running. I've got School A, and 2 blocks down the street from me is School B.
Yep.
I want to get all the kids in that area to go to my school, so I'm going to have the best school, the best run school, and I'm going to provide the best education. So School B doesn't get all the students. And the students that go to School B, their parents see, hey, my neighbor's kids are going to School A, and they're getting a lot better education than my kids are getting. I'm going to send them to School A or School B. You'd better fix everything and get everything up to where you're competing on an equal level with School A. And then some people are going to say, like one is, our associate Jen, she homeschools. Jen says, I want to homeschool my kids. Fine, you get a voucher for each kid that you're homeschooling. That way, she doesn't have the burden of educating her children out of her own pocket, but has the same equal footing to educate her children as someone who picked one of the schools to go to.
But
it's so simple. It's so simple. We just eliminate the bureaucracy.
But what happens if everybody decides they want to homeschool? Now you got teachers, all of a sudden got teachers that are contracted that aren't going to be teaching anymore because everybody's teaching their kids at home. I figured you'd like that one.
I'm all for it because
the main reason the Department of Education is around is to support all the teacher unions.
The teachers unions are part of the problem. In fact, they're a big part of the problem. So, the idea of having schools competing with each other is they're not going to have teachers unions.
Yeah.
Because if I've got School A, and I say my teachers are all going to be independent. They're not going to be in a union, and if they don't like it, they can go teach someplace else. But I'll pay more because I have more students coming to my school because I'm going to be more competitive because I'm going to provide a better education.
Yep.
That way, students are going to want to learn. And a student goes to school and they're a troublemaker in my school, I say, gone. We don't need you in here anymore because I've got a lot of applicants that want to come to my school because I've got the best school.
Yep. Take your voucher and go to School B.
Oh boy. So another thing, Dave. Today, all the government numbers came out, and actually, I'm kind of being kind of silly about this. On the first day of every month, the government usually releases their statistics, on unemployment and GDP and all the rest of that stuff. So all that stuff came out this morning. I didn't really have much of a chance to go through all of it, so I just heard it reported on TV. Unemployment stayed at 4.1%, but I keep telling everybody that's a bogus number because it's just a survey of 60,000 households. What in the hell does that mean? You're going to call up people and say, are you working or not working? And that's how you get this number. When we know that 63% of the people who can work are actually working. So our labor participation rate, which is the number of people who are actually employed, is 63% out of the total that could be employed. That's the number we got to be looking at. But the government doesn't want us looking at that number because they're going to say, because they're pretty soon people are going to say, hey, wait a minute, why is it only 63%? Something's wrong here. Something ain't working right. Now, growth. Fantastic growth again. Why? Well, the growth in jobs was about 100 and I'll just round it off, say 110%, 110,000.
Okay.
Of that, 90,000 were either government jobs or health-related jobs that have something to do with being paid by the government. Either Obamacare, Medicare, Medicaid, et cetera, et cetera. So out of the 110,000 jobs that were created, 90,000 of them were government-related jobs. Who the hell's paying for the government-related jobs? We, the taxpayers.
Yeah.
Well, how does that grow the economy when we're not making anything? We're taking money from the taxpayers that could be put into the economy to make stuff.
It doesn't grow.
And we're giving it to the government.
Yeah, it doesn't grow our economy. It grows the government's economy. So
what's the government doing for us? Other than running up a $35 trillion debt?
Yeah.
Are our streets any safer? Are they in any better shape?
Did Kamala Harris do anything to protect the border as borders are? No.
Nope.
Nope. And a question, honestly, if she wins, do you think we're going to move toward a civil war?
No, I just don't see that happening, because how could we have a civil war? Who's going to fight against who? Like, for example, where I live in a gated community, and probably of the 400 residents here, about 80% of them are probably conservative Trump voters, and 20% are people who hate Trump. I know some because I'm at breakfast with them. Like we go out to eat or something like that, and they say, "I hate Trump." Why do you hate Trump? I just hate Trump. Well, what am I going to do? Am I going to go and shoot them before they shoot me? So how are we going to have a civil war when we got half the people in the country are on one side, half on the other side, but they're not like it was in 1861, where there were 13 southern states, and I forget 17 or 18 or 21 northern states. I mean, you actually had a line, the Mason-Dixon line, and you said, okay, the states that were below this line were the Confederate Army states, and they're fighting the Union Army states. How's that going to work today? I don't get it.
Yeah.
Is Arizona going to fight California? But in California, as bad as it is, at least somewhere around 20 or 25% of the people there are still conservative Republicans. So whose side are they going to fight on?
I
Are
think,
they, so anyway, I just think a civil war.
yeah.
I just don't see how that could happen. And
I don't see anybody wanting to take up arms against the United States Armed Services. I know you don't like the term military, so I don't see how anybody thinks they could go to war against the United States Armed Forces and think that they're going to win, because with the state of war now, they can just sit in front of computers and blow the citizens fighting against them off the face of the earth without even actually being on the battlefield.
we'll see. And what you're bringing up is really pretty much the crux of this whole thing. Who says that our armed forces are going to fight in the Civil War? Do you think the Marine Corps is going to take sides and fight one side or the other? Most of the Marines I know, probably 80-90% of them are probably pretty conservative Republicans. So is the Marine Corps going to fight on the side of the Republican side, or are they going to fight on the
Well,
side of the Marxist side?
the only the only I've never put much thought into what they would do, only because I get overpowered by Democrats who say, well, Biden is their commander in chief, and if he gives them the order to go to battle, they're gonna follow the order and go to battle. But is it more of a reality that they're not going to do that? Because
Well, first of all,
they're conservative and they're
Biden cannot do
Republican.
that. Biden cannot do that.
No, I okay.
He is the commander in chief, but the United States Armed Forces, the Army and the Navy, Air Force, are not allowed to operate, conduct combat on U.S. soil. So that order would be illegitimate. It would be an illegal
Okay,
order. It'd have to be an executive order, which
it's
the
not binding.
Department of Defense would say we cannot do this because this is an illegal order. So if I'm
Okay.
if I'm given an illegal order as a Marine captain, I don't have to obey that order. If I know it's
Yeah.
illegal, I can say this is an illegal order. I'm not going to obey it because I swore to uphold the Constitution.
Okay.
And so everybody in the military swore to uphold and defend and support the Constitution of the United States of America. But taking American troops, which are by the Constitution, are not allowed to conduct operations on American soil, that would be an illegal order. So
Okay.
that can't be. So yeah, you just and some of these things are kind of, they
Now,
sound kind
okay.
of
So
good.
we so different. I know that. Yeah. It, I guess it's a Looney Tunes kind of thing, but if a civil war were to come, it could be Republicans against Democrats. But at some point, doesn't the don't the armed forces have to step in and pop it?
Well, that's a hypothetical question.
You
No,
know,
that's why we have a Department of Homeland Security and
yeah.
local police force and state police force and so forth. We don't use the military to fight our own citizens. Our military,
Okay.
our
Is,
armed forces personnel don't enter into combat.
is the National Guard under that same order? The National Guard?
Yeah, the National Guard is all part of the Department
Okay.
of Defense,
Yep.
even though the National Guards report to the state governors. They can be federalized by the government because we know that going back 20 years ago, remember Bush activated National Guard units to go to Iraq.
Yeah.
I see.
It's a very long message, a very long comment. Would you like me to read it to you? Will it be easier?
Yeah, you can read it if you like.
Right. Randy Rhodes says if Kamala Harris wins the election legitimately, then we have no other course but to either move out of this country or live the best we can for the rest of our lives because that means no more Republicans will ever win the election. Those on the left will leave in millions will leave in millions of undocumented those on the left will expect to live a socialist. I'm getting lost here. Basically, he's saying that we will become a socialist country and that Republicans would have to leave. I disagree with that. I don't believe when push comes to shove that any American citizen is going to leave this country. They will stand up and make sure that the illegals that are here are escorted out of the country. Uh, will Kamala Harris do anything as president to the southern border, the northern border, make it so that they can't get in at all? Probably not. But then it becomes, at some point, the Department of Defense, I guess, the Secretary of Defense has to step up and say, hey, it's my job to protect the country, and we're going to have to do things. You know,
Here's the thing. Here's the reality of this is the pendulum swings back and forth one way or another. If you go back to like in the 1970s, when we had Carter as president, we had an overwhelming majority of Democrats in the House and the Senate. It looked like there was no way to break this chain. That's the way it was going to be. Reagan got elected in 1980 and served 8 terms, and then Bush 41 another 4 terms. But in the meantime, the House and the Senate were Democrat, and it looked like there's no way there'll ever be a Republican House or Senate again.
yeah.
But eventually, the House and the Senate got so corrupt and so mismanaged and so incompetent that in 1994 came out with the Compact for America, whatever it was called, and the Republicans got in.
Yeah.
And so then the Republicans were in the House, and Clinton was the president, and Clinton had to do what Newt Gingrich wanted him to do.
Yeah.
So this whole thing about, it's going to be one way and that's the way it's going to be forever. No, it won't, because eventually people are going to say, hey, this ain't working. You bankrupted the country. We've gone to a point where everything's in ruins. We want to take our country back, and then we'll vote in people that are more responsible as far as being America first people who want us to be able to achieve the American dream. So every time, every election, you hear people say, if so and so wins, I'm leaving the country, but nobody leaves. And I wish some of them would have left, because when Trump first got elected, didn't Oprah and Whoopi Goldberg and a whole bunch of them say they were leaving?
Robert De Niro was going to leave. I can't see. There are 5 or 6 pages now on Facebook that all they do is report every day that Robert De Niro is going to leave. I can't see how a self-made millionaire who's probably still making money off all the movies that he made, plus owns restaurants in Tribeca, probably a major part of the Tribeca Film Festival every year up there. I can't see how he's going to leave, because where's he going to go and have the same kind of life that he has here in America?
You nailed it, Dave. Nailed it.
And Whoopi Goldberg, where's she going to go? Same kind of thing. where other than America can Whoopi Goldberg be sued by Kyle Rittenhouse for $22 million that she's probably never going to pay him, and he's probably never going to collect from her. But, where's she going to go? No one's going to want her there.
And where would she go where she could get a sweetheart deal with an incompetent, corrupt news channel called ABC?
Yeah. I mean, Joy, there was a post yesterday on Facebook. Joy Behar wants to see the list of people who attended, as she called it, the Nuremberg rally. That's the one where Trump talked about he's not a Nazi. His father taught him the difference between Nazis and whatever, and made it clear he is not a Nazi in all of this. But and my comment was, I look forward to Donald Trump after he becomes president on November 6th doing The View that morning, because usually the president-elect always does The View, and looking at Joy Behar up in the camera and going, "You're fired." I would hope, if I was a shareholder of the Trump organization, I would say to him, now you buy ABC from Disney for whatever they will sell it to you for. You buy it just so you can finally fire those people. Their views are so great because everybody hates them. Everybody watches that show just because they hate that show. They hate those people. But, where is she going to go? I mean, she can't go to Russia. Even if Putin gave her a job on Russian TV, she can't talk about Putin the same way she talks about Trump. He wouldn't allow it. And she can't go to North Korea because everyone in North Korea votes. There's only one name on the ballot in North Korea, Kim Jong-un. And if you don't vote for it, we don't want to talk about what happens if you don't vote for it.
Dave, you're making too much sense here.
Oh, I know, yeah.
No, you're right. I mean, I think you've just highlighted the foolishness and the nonsense of all these people. But the sad thing is, they all belong to the political party that is actually governing our country right now. And when you think about the Senate, Schumer, can you believe that Schumer is in charge of the Senate?
No.
Unbelievable.
And people ask, where is Mitch McConnell since the freezing episodes? People think that he had strokes and maybe he's just,
Well, Mitch resigned.
Did he actually resign? I knew he talked about he wasn't going to go.
He resigned, but I think it's supposed to be effective in either November or December of now. So anyway, but in a sense, he's resigned. He's not doing anything. The Senate is totally ineffective because Schumer has got the majority, and so.
And the lady running for president breaks the ties.
Yeah. So
they think they have.
There are, if you look at some of the very optimistic polls, we could get anywhere from 54 to 56 Republican senators if everything went right. Like if McCormick won in Pennsylvania and what next? His name in Nevada. The West Point guy. I can't think of it. Is it Ford? I can't remember his name, but another guy is a special operator, armed forces hero, is running against John Tester in Montana. If all those things went right, and we got like 54 to 56 Republicans in the Senate, then the Senate's going to have to elect a leader, and I guess John Cornyn and John Thune are kind of the two leading candidates. That can all change overnight. That can change, from December to January or whatever. But and I guess what we really have to hope for is that we can get more seats in the House. We need 235 Republicans in the House, and we've got what, 219. We need more House.
Do we have a chance on keeping the House, or do you think we will lose the House?
I think we're going to keep the House.
Okay. Will we take this? Do you think we can take the Senate, or do you think the Senate will still be Democrat?
I think we're going to take the Senate and the House. The only way to really doubt that, I guess the only thing that's I'm afraid of is that if voters go in and they vote for Kamala Harris, and then they just vote Democrat on the down ballot choices. So in every state, for example, in North Carolina, they vote for Harris, and then they vote for the Democrat senator and a Democrat representative in their district and so forth. If that happens, then we could be screwed. I guess is the best way to put it. But I really, it's not like when I was young, I used to do this, and you can't do it anymore. I voted every election, but I used to just go in and you could just vote. You could just check off I'm voting Republican and vote. I forget what they call that. One party ballot or whatever. I would just you just check off the top box, and everybody you voted for was all Republicans. Or somebody could go in and vote all Democrats.
Okay.
So now you have to vote for everybody individually.
I got a question for you, and I'm not sure. It's probably a Looney Tunes question to ask you, but I got my ballot, and all the judges that were up for re-election were all Democrat. There was no Republican running against them. So what do you do? I mean, I'll be honest. I just voted for the judges because there was no Republican running against them. But what do you do? Do you write in? I mean, I almost was going to write in Mickey Mouse, but Mickey Mouse is in trouble now, so I don't want to get Mickey Mouse on the bench in Florida.
Okay.
But what do you do?
What I do is I just don't vote for that particular candidate.
Okay.
Just leave it open. You can a person can go in to vote and just go in and vote Kamala Harris, take the ballot and run it through the machine, and that's it. You don't have to vote for all the or a person could come in like a person in Florida. I could come in and I could say I'm voting for Rick Scott and for senator, and that's the only one that I vote for, and turn my ballot in because I don't have to vote for everyone. I don't even have to vote for any of them.
Right.
But yeah, so the down ballot voting will be interesting in this election because a lot of the Senate races are really close, and boy, I think in Pennsylvania, they've given Bob Casey $500 million in campaign funds. Now he didn't raise that all from Pennsylvanians given $5 and $10 and $25. He's got hundreds of millions of dollars from Schumer because Schumer doesn't want to lose Pennsylvania.
Right.
So McCormick has got about $200 million, and and Casey's got 500 million. So think of it, the amount
Now,
of money that's going into TV ads and people they can hire to go out and knock on
yeah,
doors or make phone calls and stuff like that is
well,
astronomical.
talking about New York, since Eric Adams is in all kinds of trouble, uh, and if he hasn't resigned, already, and somebody else is in there, uh, rumor is that New York might flip and go red this year. Anyway, they all might vote for Trump just because they're so ticked off with the Democrat machine in New York. Uh, I've met, since we moved here to Florida, I've met more people that, snowbirds or whatever you call them. They live up there for 6 months. They come down here for 6 months, and they go
Yeah.
back. They're all, I met 3 or 4 that did that for a long time, and now they just decide they'll put up with Hurricane Alley rather than put up with the Democrats in New York any longer.
So Eric Adams, I'll bet my condo and my Lincoln on Eric Adams will not ever resign.
Yep.
Period. Anybody wants to vote, put up a couple 100,000 and to vote that he's going to, or to bet me that he's going to resign. I'll take that bet on any day of the week.
And,
Eric Adams will never not resign.
and the scary
Now,
thing is, if he's removed, Andrew Cuomo.
who's going to remove him?
Well, I don't know how he gets removed, but
now
Andrew,
you're getting the whole thing. In order to remove somebody from office, you have to have these special ballots where they remember they tried to do that in California and it didn't work. It never works. They never, because
I would hope that it doesn't work, because rumor is that if it goes to a recall election, that Andrew Cuomo, the disgraced governor, is thinking about coming back.
Yeah, he would like to be the mayor. I know.
I've never heard of a governor coming back as like a mayor. I've heard a senator coming back as a governor, maybe. But
yeah, well, that's not really a demotion. The other one is more like a demotion. Hey, Dave, I think we've I'm looking at the clock and we're at an hour and 2 minutes. So I think we've kind of I think we've said everything we had to say. We got all our points. You made some really good points today. Really nailed it good, Dave. I'm really really proud of you. You've done good. So anyway, hey everybody, get out and vote, and God bless America.
All right,
God
Bill.
bless everybody and their loved ones. I got a bunch of book orders I got to get over to.
Get those books out. Get those books out.
You bet.
Those books out. All right, Bill. Next Friday we'll meet and do it again.
Right, and we'll have different news next Friday than this
much
Friday.
Better news. Yep. All right.
We hope. we hope that they learned how to count. That the government learned how to add and count.
All right, Bill.
Yeah.
Take care. All right, Bill Muckler had the Bill Muckler Show Monday through Friday at 11 a.m. here on Facebook for a very long time, and retired because he is 89 years old and needs a chance to enjoy life. He did write the 2020 books, 2020 A Clear Vision for America, 2020 A Clear Vision for Our Future, and I call them the Conservative Patriot Broadcasters Bible, because most of the information in them is as true and as valid today in 2024 as it was in 2015 when he wrote the first one, and I believe 2018 when he wrote the second one. That set is $25, 2 hardbound books, and if you order them from Bill, give him some information about you, he will write a very nice note to you in each one of those 2 books. Also, don't forget 6 soft targets. 6 soft Targets. The novel from Bill Muckler, which is Bill's blueprint to how 9/11, how 9/11 actually went off. And I got to tell you, I've read the first 4 chapters, and it's pretty much spot on. I have to sit down, make time, and read more because once I finish it, Bill and I will discuss that each week on Red Friday Morning Caffeine. Then once we finish that, we will go back to the 2020 books, and we'll probably do it. Bill may want to do them in order, chapter by chapter. He said on broadcast before, when you get the books, the 2020 books, look through the table of contents, read the chapters that interest you first, and then go back and read the rest. But that's really not a good idea, a good way to read a book. Read the book and in order. And then in the 2020 books, there's a chapter guide at the end. So read the chapters, and that shows, almost like a study guide. Make sure you remember what you read in the books. So the 2020 books, 2020 A Clear Vision for America, 2020 A Clear Vision for Our Future. The set is $25. Go to the Bill Muckler Facebook page and message Bill and tell him that you are looking to order the books. Do not be fooled. There is a Bill Muckler Facebook profile that has a cameo. Any Bill Muckler profile that you see that has a cameo on it is not Bill Muckler's true profile. Bill Muckler's true profile has a picture of Bill in a white Marine captain's uniform, kind of looking like, why did you take my picture? Is the look I think that is on his face. But that is the official Bill Muckler page and profile. You can message Bill, and he will tell you how to get the books. The $25 for the set, the 2020 books, or the $20 for the softback 6 soft targets. Both include the price of shipping you the book, and he self-publishes the book. So you can't buy what you're going to read for from anybody at any bookstore at the price that Bill is selling it to you. Also, Bill announced a while back that I guess he had found some notes on things that he wanted to include in 6 soft targets, and decided that there will be a second novel at some point, I believe maybe 2 years from now, or maybe faster, because in 2 years, let's see, Bill's 89, in 2 years he'll be 91. But maybe he'll write it. Maybe he'll write it and have it ready next year in time for his 90th birthday, which would be very interesting, a birthday gift from Bill Muckler. But anyway, that will be called Aftermath, from what I understand. And anybody I know that has read Bill's 3 books now, like I said, 2020 books, and has read 6 soft targets, is just waiting for the second novel, waiting for Aftermath. And I think you'll enjoy it when it comes out and it is available. We are here every Friday morning at 10 a.m. and we run until about 11:30, depending on the conversation that we have going. Appreciate the live chat and the comments that came into the live chat. Randall Rhodes from All Roads Lead to Home Genealogy, which is here on Facebook. I thank you for participating. Sharon DeLeon, I have to go back to this monitor because Sharon Asher Della Torre. Sharon Asher Della Torre. I have to say it long, so I make sure I get it pronounced right. She's a friend of mine that way back here on Facebook. I've been here almost 16 years, and I appreciate that you watched, and let's see who else. Jerry Michaels from the American Rebellion, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday, 7 p.m. Here on Facebook, watch it on the American Rebellion blogger page. Or you can go over to Wimkin and watch it on the American Rebellion page over there. Just because I'm on Facebook, I tell people the Rebellion blogger page. If all goes according to my plan for tonight, I'll be on it. Since Jen Woodruff, the homeschooling mom, is there. Nikki Young is back. And Chuck Cook has joined us. Chuck has joined me on the 10 a.m. Monday and Wednesday morning caffeine broadcasts. And it's a pleasure to have him on the Tuesday and Thursday broadcast at 7 p.m. on my side, and the Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Saturday, 7 p.m. Eastern American Rebellion broadcasts. So tonight at 7 p.m., Monday through Saturday, is occupied. 7 p.m. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Saturday, watch the American Rebellion. 7 p.m. Tuesday, Thursday, watch Boogie with the Bull Uncensored, or whatever I call it that week. It's always going to be Boogie with the Bull Uncensored, usually. And tune in and be wrong. I don't know what's going to happen on Tuesday, election night. I'll probably come on and do something. Get the crew together, and we'll do it. Maybe we'll do our best to keep a watch on what's happening with election results, and do that. I may not. If the American Rebellion, if Jerry Michaels does a election special, and he's going to be on Tuesday night, then maybe I'll join forces and be on with him for a bit. I'm not going to stay up after 10 o'clock and wait for the results. I can't stay awake that late. I'm old and I have to be in bed and asleep by 10 o'clock. But anyway, I thank everybody who came and watched. Let's see. Let's go out and do this one more time. Check like we always do before we wrap it up. Scroll on my... I have 77 shares showing, and 198 people have watched or did watch live. That's really good. Very good for Red Friday morning caffeine. And I'm glad that our views are up. So watch every week. You'll be a part of the conversation with Bill and I. And then the other nights, like I said, Monday and Wednesday morning, 10 a.m., Chuck Cook and I, and whoever else wanders in. And Tuesday, Thursday night, Chuck Cook is usually there. Jerry Michaels is usually there. I'm always there. Nikki Young has been there. Daryl Rector's popped in before. And, just a bunch of guys and gals that want to keep you informed on what is happening in your world Monday through Saturday here on Facebook and Wimkin. The American Rebellion is on Wimkin. I am not over on Wimkin right now. But maybe Rumble, something's going to happen. The third channel I haven't yet decided. I always say I haven't yet decided. I look at Rumble. I look at other things. If Truth Social had live streaming and allowed live streaming, the third channel would be Truth Social or Street Rock or somewhere else. Anyway, I could talk about that for another 16 minutes, which would be 11:30. But why don't we just go and end up now? Make sure you vote. The important thing is that you go and vote. Okay? And you vote for the presidential candidate that you think is the best to serve you and this country. You don't have to listen to me and pull the red lever just because I tell you to go pull the red lever. And I don't want you to go pull the red lever just because I tell you to pull the red lever. You have to look at the two and decide who you think is going to return the United States of America to the way we were up until 2020. when Joe Biden took over, and how you would like us to get back to, maybe Joe Biden's right. Maybe it's build back better. Build back better by voting for Donald Trump. Because I don't believe that Kamala Harris is going to build back better. She's going to build back better in the opposite direction that we would like America to go, based on where Joe Biden will have left her off when she leaves or when her first term ends. However you want to look at that. Anyway, double V's for victory. This Believe in the Bull broadcast has come to an end. It's time to go feed Lola and Delilah and myself. And my friend here says, I hope you had a very happy Halloween. Unfortunately, his twin brother did not have a happy Halloween because his twin brother was sitting on the shelf where I bought him from, and I was about to put him into my shopping cart at Joann's, and I dropped and smashed him, so I have to contact the company that made it to try to get another one because I want two for bookends on the bookshelf that will be built sometime in the near future. So anyway, pay attention. Read up on all the ballot questions. Read up on everybody who is running for any office that you have the pleasure of voting for, and you vote for the one that you think is going to serve you the best. And on the ballot questions, don't just read what is on the ballot and make your decision. Go and read the pros, go and read the cons, and then you make your decision. And remember, sometimes no means yes, and yes means no. So be very careful because they will trick you to get your vote the way they want you to vote. Anyway, I'm Dave Glovin. Thank you for the privilege of letting me abuse your time. And tonight, 7 p.m. on the American Rebellion blogger page here on Facebook, the American Rebellion, Jerry Michaels and company. Look for me to be there. And we will make it through this election. We will make it through however the turnout is. I think we will make it through it easier if the decision is that we have elected Donald Trump for his second term, or actually third term, if you want to look at it the right way. And hopefully we will drastically improve. Anyway, Double B for victory. This Believe in the Bull broadcast is coming to an end. We click this one. We come over here. Double B for victory. This Believe in the Bull broadcast is going to come to an end. You've been watching Boogie with the Bull, Red Friday Morning Caffeine, a copyrighted presentation of the No Budget Broadcasting Company. Violate the copyright, you'll probably get away with it because we're just not interested in going after you. But if you do show any portion of this broadcast or make any comment related to this broadcast, we would like to hear that you do it. Because then we will have a view on our broadcast and then we can violate your copyright. Oh no. Anyway, double